Hi, my name is Clay, and this is the Enneagram Prison Project podcast. In August of 2022, just a few weeks ago, a few of us from the project got together for a camping trip just outside of Yosemite National Park in Northern California. In this episode, you will hear a range of conversations from a variety of people. For example, a quick description of lunch from one of our ambassadors, Jeff Lamone.
Like a couple bowls of tortilla chips and salsa after the lagoon.
Or anything else along those lines. You'll also hear a lot of background noise and all kinds of other fun sounds that you would expect from a camping trip with 30 or 40 people, so be prepared to rewind and re-listen as needed, and hopefully you will enjoy our attempt at capturing the magic of the 2022 camping trip with the Enneagram Prison Project.
After the lagoon.
Yes.
Where was the lagoon?
Right down there. Where we were.
Yeah. But I ask questions as though I don't know.
Where we were.
Not because I was not there.
So the lagoon was a little bit of a hike down that way.
Yeah.
We had to go down a path, then go down a couple more paths that were steep and grade. That got even more steeper, and it was made even more hazardous because of the dry hay that was plated down, causing a slippage hazard. Did you biff it? Right on. Yeah, so Dustin could attest to that. Yeah, so it was down at the very end of that.
Any point in that, did you fear for your life?
No,
Or was it just you, like gravity showed it?
No, it was just because I was very sure-footed, but I could recognize that someone less sure-footed than me, sorry, Dustin, might have had more trouble.
So the camping trip went down at Don Pedro Lake, which is in LaGrange, California, about 60 miles west of Yosemite National Park. The water level at the lake was down quite a bit by comparison to its full level, but there was still plenty of water to swim in, and the water temperature was perfect, cool enough to swim in for however long you wanted. From the lake, the hike up to the camping area was considerably steep, and some of the campers hiked to it, as Jeff described, while others drove the long way back and forth. At the top of the hill was a covered pavilion with about a dozen picnic tables, and that is where most of the campers spent their time hanging out and enjoying each other's company when not hiking, swimming, or doing other activities away from the camp. There were a lot of board games, campfires every night, fun conversations, and also some serious ones. I noticed another ambassador, Troy Phillips, talking to someone about that special day in prison when he had learned that he found out he was suitable for parole.
Right. So at the time that I found out I was suitable for parole, it's 120 days that you have to wait for them to complete your paperwork and all this stuff. So I go back to the cell. I make it to the cell without any of my friends seeing me or anybody that I know from groups or school. And I get in my cell and I go back and wash my face and I climb up on my bunk and I turn the lights out. And I just breathe, right? I'm still shaking. I still want to cry, but I just breathe. My meditation kicked in. It was like, okay, you need to sit down because my heart was racing. And I'm on blood pressure medication. I'm overweight, so I'm knowing that I'm having this emotional rush. So my cellie ends up coming in. He comes to the door looking, Troy, what happened? What happened? I said, man, I found suitable. They let me go. He said, what? I said, they let me go. So after he came in, and we were still under lockdown because of COVID. So police came by. I said, man, I need to take a shower. I said, yeah, I bet you do need to take a shower. So he let me out, and I went and took a shower, and that's when everybody found out. And one of the officers, that was an old officer, he had been in San Quentin for the longest. He was working at the desk. He said, attention in North Block, attention in North Block. Mr. Phillips has been found suitable today. And I look back at him like, Jack, you're supposed to tell everybody.
You didn't want
It wasn't that I didn't want everybody to know, but I didn't want to be put on blast like that.
Right. And you were still absorbing it yourself.
Yes.
Right?
So, but anyway, when I got back, after I got out the shower, I was able to go back to the cell and just chill, wait on dinner. And, it was, the pandemic was there, so we were on lockdown. So it was good, but it was bad. But it was a good feeling. I was getting ready to go home.
It was 4 months, right?
Yeah, it was 4 months. And so all I had to do...
When did you tell EPP? When did you let them know?
As soon as I seen Susan.
Yeah.
But I'm trying to think how Susan... I can't remember if Susan was coming in and I was going over to... I think I was going over to the chapel area. And I seen Susan coming down. She was going somewhere, but it was really restricted, and I was part of the grip because they had just started some of letting some of us go. And I said, Susan! She looked. She ran over there. She almost hugged, right? But you can't because it's the police right
That's
there.
That's a good way to lose your parole. Yeah.
And so I said,
yeah.
Yes.
To hug someone in front of a free world.
I'm an inmate.
Yeah.
And so, there's no touch. Not supposed to. So anyway, Susan, I found Susan.
It's always a little bittersweet for me to hear those kinds of stories because it still irks me to know that this man who was just found suitable for parole, suitable to get out of prison and exist with the rest of us out here in the free world, and he's not even allowed to celebrate that moment in prison with a simple hug. But that's a conversation for another day. For now, we're going to stay at the camping trip and see what else there was to experience on Friday night.
Suzanne, can you explain to me?
I'm so sorry.
Why are you so eager to interrupt people on mic?
I'm not. Is this the mic?
This is the mic. We're recording. You see that?
This is Suzanne, an EPP guide who is also part of the faculty. She is the Minnesota chapter lead and also EPP chapter liaison. If you want to hear more about her and her work with EPP, go back to episode 7 from last season and give it a listen. She's one of my favorite people on the planet, and she's absolutely one of a kind. Now, with all that said, I should also mention that I love to give Suzanne a hard time any chance I get because, well, let's just be honest. It's fun to do that sometimes. And in this case, I'm giving her hell because she was trying to talk to us in the middle of Troy telling his story about being found suitable for parole. Now, granted, you never actually hear her on his recording, and it's not really a disruption, but it's just kind of a running joke that she and I have together dating back to last year when she did it not once, not twice, but 3 times. And it's just hilarious to me, at least, every single time.
I'm embarrassed. I'm sorry.
Don't be.
It's a thing. It's a thing.
This is like number 4.
I'm sorry.
So
here we are. Hello. I apologize to everyone out there.
And for the record, there's really nothing to apologize for because, as you heard, it went completely unnoticed anyways. And that's just something that I think is funny. Now, later that night, there was a campfire. And among the traditional things like roasted marshmallows, s'mores, stuff like that, we also had a couple folks making something called
pizza mountain pie. You can have any kind of mountain pie you want. My personal favorite is pizza. Cast iron floppy thing. Cast iron, basically a small skillet that you squeeze and you put buttered bread on the inside and whatever toppings you want.
This is Laura, program manager and EPP guide, who you might recall from episode 12 last season.
It looks like a Hot Pocket.
It is, but it's on a campfire in cast iron.
Homemade Hot Pocket.
Homemade Hot Pocket, but mountain pie is so much better than a Hot Pocket.
So it's not a pie.
You didn't feel him breathing on your neck?
It's like a ham pie.
But it's not a pie.
It's a pie. It's a mountain pie.
Like imagine a panini press, but you can take apart the panini press.
And this is Maggie.
But then you put it back together and smush it, so then it becomes sealed.
And what do you put inside?
Well, right now I'm doing an experiment of steak and cheese and peppers.
Okay.
Because I want a savory one. But you can put like pie filling, you can put pizza, you can put ham and cheese.
What are you about to put in it now?
Steak, mozzarella cheese, and peppers.
That sounds pretty good.
Yeah.
Cool. By the way, would you mind telling me your name for the recording so I can?
My name is Maggie. Do you want the last name?
It's up to you. You don't have to.
My last name is Ni. N-I. 2 simple letters.
Cool. That people probably say wrong a lot, don't they?
They do. They say Nye. I'm like, Are you related to Bill Nye? I'm like, no.
And you're here with?
I'm here with Laura.
And are you into the Enneagram the way that she is?
I am not, but I do like overhearing things.
Mm-hmm. Do you know your type?
I do know my type. I'm a type 6.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. I had Laura type me. We did the little interview thing.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Have you found any place where it's like helpful to know that you're type 6, or is it still like an early exploration phase of just knowing what that means?
It's still an early explanation phase. Like, here's like the most that I've used it.
Cool. Awesome. Well, thanks for letting me shove a mic in your face.
You're welcome.
And talk about what mountain... What do they call it? Mountain pies?
Mountain pies.
Mountain pies, yes. Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah.
So for anyone thinking that the camping trip might not be very enjoyable for those who are new to or even completely unaware of the Enneagram, well, just know that it was a safe place for everyone. After speaking with Laura and Maggie about mountain pies, I walked by Rick Olesic and Jason White over at the grill having a chat.
I think you should talk to some of the people who just got back from Yosemite.
I did, just now. Yeah, why should I not talk to you?
You always talk to me.
I do. But most of the people here I've talked to, and he's eating, so I'm not going to shove a mic in his face.
That's very sweet.
Thank you. No,
and I'm with him.
And a few minutes later, there was a subtle reminder that we were indeed camping in the midst of wild animals.
What'd you say, Rick?
We should definitely put the food away.
Why is that?
Because the raccoons are going to come back tonight. Raccoon. You know what the raccoon ate last night?
No.
Very similar to this. What's it?
Tell me what the raccoon ate last night.
It was an organic chips. And I'll just tell you, the raccoon did not come back.
So yeah, no grizzly bears or anything too dangerous like that. Just a hungry raccoon who got into a bag of organic chips and also didn't think highly enough of them to come back for seconds.
Oh my goodness. He's just calling me out on dominoes.
Can I go record this game?
Yeah, you can record this game.
All right, let me go talk to the winner real quick.
Okay, so for those who might not know, dominoes, not the pizza chain, but the actual game of dominoes, is a main staple in prison and a good way to pass the time. Yes, the game itself is fun and people are really good at it, but the main thing that makes dominoes so fun, both to play and to spectate, is the amount of trash talk that occurs while the game is played. It's usually friendly, but it's always funny.
I'm going to record this ass whooping he's about to get from Troy and dominoes.
You don't believe that, do you?
He just laughed and kept walking. This is how you know he.
Wow. Oh, you're going to record the whooping?
Yeah.
Somebody?
Evidence.
I got to be careful because he acts like he doesn't know.
He's also got the best luck of anybody I've ever met in my life.
Somebody telling me that he's a Stanford grad.
I don't know if he graduated. I know he went there.
Yeah.
I've never seen the paperwork. I've never seen his paperwork.
I think my paperwork might have got destroyed in the hurricane.
Yeah, I've heard that story before. I've been in his office a lot of times and I've never seen it. No frames on the wall.
Yeah.
There he goes.
I know he says it a lot, but a pair of lips will say anything. What are you looking for?
A card that's a bone that's different than the one I got.
A bone.
It's a bone. He's finally coming up with the lingo now.
Yeah.
A bone. It's not domino, a bone.
Yeah,
see, just told on itself.
I just figured it out. We're all taking the inverted path. We're going up, and we're going to end at the top, and he's going to the hood. Rick is going to be living in the hood before it's all said and done. Slamming dominoes down.
But he just used a phrase that's only somebody playing dominoes for a while would use.
Yeah.
Bones.
And he picks up pretty quick.
I listen.
But I don't believe any of us said the word bones today.
Yeah. They call it boneyard.
Boneyard.
Oh, you had a boneyard? Well, I don't know if I told him to go to the boneyard or not.
No, Alex did.
Oh, Alex did?
Yeah. I don't know if that's where the first place he heard it, but I do know that I witnessed that.
There you go, Rick.
10.
Oh, shit.
Oh, he's got big 5 over there. Come on, get out the boneyard. He's got big 5, but I got to get on the yard because I don't.
Hey, did you mark my 10 down?
As soon as 15, man.
Oh, is that the way we're playing?
Yeah, now you're about to find out why he waited.
I already know he's got 20.
20. 20.
I did that already. It's written 30 to 15.
How come you don't ever keep score, Rick?
That's my next thing.
Oh, okay.
15.
15 again?
I didn't stutter.
All right. 15 again. And I didn't stutter either.
No, what? Also, throw in one of these for good measure. What the fuck are you talking about?
Oh, Stitchy for a 3-piece suit.
That means 15 for the people who don't speak Dominoes.
Got to tell you, the rest of my recording from that night, it's about an hour long, and I could listen to it in its entirety over and over and over again. It's just fun to me to hear other people enjoying each other's company. And this is really only just a quick peek into the kind of weekend that we had.
15, but before he go, I'm getting 20, right? So that gives me 75. He's getting ready to get 25.
Boom!
He's going to get 25.
25 for that one and the domino.
Trips like this are important, not just for fun and games, but for the good of our own mental health. EPP Ambassador Chuck Stubblefield.
What's happening with you?
Watching this domino game over here between him and Rick, and wondering when you're going to get some action over here.
I'm letting him get some get back. Rick skunked him the first time they played.
Oh,
that's why he asked for the domino.
That's unfortunate.
I need my own domino.
How you feel about this weekend so far?
This has been the best decision I've made.
No shit.
I wasn't gonna come.
What?
Had car troubles again. Shit at home, work.
Yeah.
Financial shit, and I was at my break, so I told Susan called. I was like, you know what? I just want to drive to Monterey by myself, go watch the sunrise, watch the sunset, and bring my ass back home alone. No talking to nobody, no phones, no nothing. And of course, Susan said,
she didn't let you get away.
do all of that at the camping trip.
Yeah.
I'm like, with the gas. She was like, I know you just had a problem with the car. We can get you a ride.
Yeah.
And then I had her on speakerphone, and then my wife's there. She popped up all of a sudden. Yeah, I told him we need to go. And then I was outnumbered. And I was like, yeah,
you got vetoed. Monterey got vetoed.
Yeah.
Different than Zoom, isn't it?
Oh, man, totally. You get the raw and cut. Who you talking to? Man. And I promised myself I'm going to have a sunrise every morning.
Good. What time do you normally wake up on a normal work day?
6 o'clock.
So it's not that much of a...
But I'm not even talking about the actual sun coming up.
Okay.
Because what you seek is already within you.
Right.
You know what I mean? So that joy that I felt, that satisfaction for seeing that, it's in me now.
Yeah.
And it had been lost between all the stuff that I've been going through. Right? Of course, I do want to see the actual sun come.
Right.
That'd be cool.
You metaphorically is what you're saying. You're going to have a sunrise every morning. I just go back to that appreciation and starting with that.
And that's how we start my day.
Yeah.
That's where I want to
be. We're here. They got sparklers going.
Yeah.
While I was talking to Chuck, there was an impromptu sparkler gratitude miniature ceremony thing to thank Dustin, who'd planned such an awesome weekend for everyone. And much as things tend to go sometimes, my chat with Chuck was a little derailed, and those thoughts will have to be shared in another conversation on another day. Meanwhile, I want to end this episode of the podcast with Dustin, the man who started this whole idea in the first place. And yes, several people played a variety of roles in ensuring that our EPP camping trip went off without a hitch. But my buddy Dustin is where the idea began.
I'm Dustin Baldwin. I'm an ambassador for Enneagram Prison Project. And I like to think I'm a healthy type 8. Well, I know I first had the idea, it was quite some time ago. It's probably 6 to 8 months ago, I think. initially my idea was, hey, I want to have a camping trip, with the ambassadors, right? Us ambassadors just kind of getting together. And then from there, true 8 fashion, I'm like, we can make this big. So, and then, then the idea just kind of grew from there. And timing was key, trying to find, just trying to get a place and all that stuff. And because, most reservation places, you have to make reservations like 6 months to the day in order to get, a campsite reservation. And then to get a group campsite reservation was a little bit more difficult. So I waited till we got like the 6-month mark to, July or August. And then I was like, it was brought up. I was actually brought up again in conversation between Susan and Dana, like, hey, is Dustin going to do this camping trip or not? And then Dana relayed it to me and I was like, that's my go. I was like, I got the go. And so I did, like, that same day, I just jumped on and I just started researching group campsites and see where I could find one. And I couldn't find one anywhere. Everywhere was booked. That had all the amenities, right? That the checklist of things, power, showers, all that good kind of stuff. And, Lake Don Pedro popped up and they had a large area available with all that stuff. And so we got it. Yeah, jumped on and said, this is it. Let's do it.
So was it originally something that you thought for just the ambassadors, or was it something that was it open to everybody from the beginning?
My first thought was something small and intimate for the ambassadors, and just kind of like, the people who've been around EPP, kind of like, since for the past, for a while, like, the Susan, Rick, Tara, like all the people that I knew that were around from, years ago. And I was like, yeah, I wanted that. And then I was like, why limit us to that? We're a growing community. There's so many great people and so many, just up and coming powerhouses, in our community. And I was like, I want all of them there. I want everybody there. So, yeah. How many people ended up being there? I didn't get an exact count, but I know it was between 30 and 40. Yeah. So, cause it was difficult with people coming and going, from the people at the hotels and other stuff. And then, and then I would be at the lake some days and, so it was just kind of hit and miss, but yeah, I know we were between 30 and 40 people.
So we were there, we got there, and by I say we, I mean just collectively we, not literally everybody, but so Thursday night is when a lot of folks got there to set up and all that stuff, and then Sunday morning is when everybody kind of checked out. For the most part, Friday and Saturday, that was the bulk, like, of the trip. And you're talking like from breakfast all the way to the dinner, the campfire, every night we were kind of chilling out with each other, yeah?
Yeah, absolutely.
Was it as cool as you had hoped for it to be, or do you wish you'd have done some things differently or planned something else or anything like that?
It was definitely as cool as I hoped it would be. I did, for me on a personal note, I did notice that I definitely fell into some type structure stuff to where I kind of was feeling, I had to step into like lead roles, right, for some stuff. And by me doing so, I kind of limited myself and my availability to connect the way I was hoping to connect, which it's not devastating, but I found great joy being able to, I was doing my thing, cooking or making sure everybody had, their stuff that needed for everything to run smooth. Right. And then I'd be able to kick back, and I just seen how much fun and the joy and the great conversations that everything around me was going on. Right. And that definitely put a smile, on my heart and in my soul. I was like, this is what it's about. This is perfect. Right. But then at the same time, because I was doing my thing, mm-hmm. I kind of isolated myself from being able to be involved in a lot of that, which is, for me just goes to, and it's not nothing that nobody did. It's a lot of, just falling into my own type, right? I'm just falling in my own type, and me having that avoidance of wanting to go there in this setting, kind of brings back to, I remember when we first went to Zoom, I hated it, right? Because I was like, I need the in person, I need to feel that energy, this and that. And I did not like Zoom at all.
Yeah.
And this was kind of the big first event to where for me, it wasn't over Zoom. But I got so accustomed to Zoom that now that we're in person, I was like feeling overwhelmed and almost avoidance of wanting to go to that vulnerable place, because now it's like, oh, wait, now they're really in my space.
Yeah.
And it just kind of goes to show that, no matter how far along in the work I'm doing or the work I'm in, that the work doesn't stop. It's always going to be there. And you get accustomed to one thing, and then you're falling into type or patterns and this and that. And then when you come back into what you long for, you've been away from it for so long. I had avoidance of going back into there.
Yeah.
And so I just thought that was interesting. As far as what I would do differently, because I am going to do this, I'll put it out there now. This is going to be an annual thing. Kind of decided that. So I'm going to make this an annual event. Next year, I'm going to do a couple things a little differently. Location is going to be key. Of course, I don't want to be more than 30, 45 minutes from an airport. For those who, for the future people that are going to be flying in, I don't want to be more than 30, 40 minutes from some decent, nice, good price hotels. I definitely want there to be redwoods, maybe coast, maybe, those, little things like that, so, and, ultimately, I kind of want to turn this into a fundraiser as well, for the program and for what we're doing, and to, support current and future ambassadors and reentry programs. And so that's my long-term goal. And I think we'll definitely find tons of support in that, and I have a lot of ideas around it. So, definitely, I hope people stay up to date on it and kind of see what we're doing here and going forward, and because I think community is going to be huge, especially for us current ambassadors and former ambassadors, just kind of get into that community of what normal is, right? In our eyes, like we always say when we're in prison, I just want to get out and be normal. This kind of normal stuff that normal people do that is just healthy, good, fun, and you get these awesome connections and growth out of it. So
it's funny that when you were talking about the difference between Zoom and in person and how you like this thing, and then you got used to that thing. And so now going back to the first thing didn't feel like normal, or it wasn't easy, or however it was that you described that. And I bet you more than zero people heard that and thought, I wonder if that's what it's like going to prison and then getting out of prison, because when you first go to prison, that's an adjustment period, right? And you're used to how it is out here in the world, and then you go in there and it's not easy. But then you get used to that, and then going back to the world isn't super easy, because you liked how you had in prison, you have your space, and it's not always a pleasant, wonderful, beautiful place, but you know that people there abide by a certain set of rules, and you have your space, and you have a certain amount of respect and boundaries and all these things. And you get out here in the world and people don't abide by those rules because they're not in prison. So it's, right. I don't know if it's intentional or just kind of a fun little coincidence, but when I heard you describe that, I heard the similarities between the Zoom stuff / IRL stuff and prison and free. So
yeah,
is that any of the experience for you from the weekend, or am I just reaching to connect things that don't need to be connected?
No, I mean, it definitely ties in. It's kind of like you're saying, so in prison, for me, like in prison, especially being in dorms, right? You don't have, you're always surrounded by multiple people, and you get adjusted and eternally, right? You, like you said, you have these boundaries, you have, you kind of know what to expect and what to absorb and not absorb from the energies and stuff, other people's energies going on around you.
When you say dorm, you're talking about you're not in a cell, you're in a big room with how many people did the dorm?
There was 100 people in my dorm.
So basically an open gym with a bunch of bunks.
Yeah, absolutely. And so you get accustomed to that, right? And then And then, then I got out. I got out right when COVID started, of course, right? So during the first lockdown, and everything was closed, which is kind of a blessing in disguise, right? Because I had no choice but to stay at home and really get my life in order. And I couldn't go out and do any of the things I would have done, or not would have done, but
could have done.
Could have done, right? Yeah, could have done, exactly. And then we went to Zoom, and I was like, this sucks. I have no energy to feed off of, right? I have I can't feel other people's energy or presence. And then I just I hated Zoom. I did not like it. And then 2 years later, I was like, oh, great. This is great. I could stay in my comfort little zone all by myself. And when I'm done, I just got to click the little red leave button in the corner and be like, cool. It's over. I'm freaking, then I'm basically retracting, right? I'm going back into my retracted state, and I'm like, I'm okay. I'm good here. I'm safe here. And then, which is different. Like, of course, I'm going to work and all that other stuff, but that's different. You know what I mean? It's a different energy. It's a different vibe. It's a different setting. And at the same time, I know I only got to be here for X amount of hours, and I get to leave, right? And then, but what I was getting to is like, so with Zoom, it's kind of like the same deal. And especially being around this caliber of people that, in this community where, we are practicing and trying to live by making those connections, right. And hitting those vulnerable places, this and that, and just being present with one another. And so when I was into that space, it was intimidating almost. It kind of brought me back to the first time I went to Prosa, right? To do the narrative. I remember I was like, I'm around all these people doing the same work that I'm doing, and it scared the living shit out of me, right? And so I noticed similarities at this camp trip for myself, that I was in that place. And so what did I do to avoid it? I stayed busy. I stayed busy, and which is great. I find I don't mind it, but the fact that I could see that, and I realized that, and I know exactly what I was doing, that to me is showing that, hey, there's growth there, right? There's growth there. There's also chances for opportunity for me to continue to grow into that space, and that, because that's my goal, is to be that comfortable and productive and connect, right? Ultimately is connect. That's what I want the most, because I avoid it the most. And so, so I'm looking forward to more opportunities to be able to do things like this. And it doesn't have to be, the camping, of course, that's going to be on the top of my list, but the other events coming up as well. I'm going to be like, if I'm able to make it, even though I don't want to, but I do want to, if that makes sense. Yeah. Right. So I'm going to attend, and I'm going to be there, and I'm going to take myself out of these comfort zones, and I'm going to continue to grow into that space.
Were there, for the people who didn't come, for the people who are listening right now, and they either wanted to go or they didn't want to go, and so they didn't go, or whatever, or they wanted to go and then plans got changed or whatever. They weren't there. That's the bottom line. Tell me, what is the first thing that comes to your mind when I ask the question, what did they miss?
They missed opportunity to see each other and experience each other, kind of when you don't have the that guard of this screen in between us. They miss the opportunity to meet in real life, in person, and to feel that energy that we bring in our natural habitat, so to speak, right? So they really did miss a great time, and but it's okay. You know what I mean? There's always going to be next year, and it's just such great. They miss the community. That's what they miss. You really miss the community, and to be a part of the community and feel the presence of the community, and to put, flesh and blood is not, it's a whole different level of being able to just being able to see someone as they are and come as you are. And that's amazing.
Dude, there were people that I saw there that it didn't even dawn on me that it was my first time actually being in the same airspace with them. And there were literally 3 or 4 people who I was, oh, hey, good to see you again. Gave them a hug and all that stuff. And then I realized in the moment, like, wait, I've never even been in the same state with this person, like much less have met them, because I see them on Zoom like so much. And it's funny how over the last couple of years that we have seen each other on screen so much. And I was excited to see those folks, and I didn't even realize that I'd never met them before. And then, of course, I got made fun of a couple times by that because I was, hey, good to see you again. They're like, yeah, you've never seen me, only on a screen. Dude, another thing. So the way something comes to mind in the question, what did they miss? I think about like some tiny things that, like we had dominoes. Like there was a few people playing dominoes, lots of board games, not just domino, board games, Scrabble. Some card games, just random games up there at the pavilion that everybody was playing. And if you've ever been locked up, you know that dominoes is a game that is like, 20% game and 80% talking. Like it's nonstop talking. And it was so fun. Like I'm watching, like Alex and Chuck and Troy and some of the others playing dominoes. And I enjoy the talking trash aspect of it anyways. And not even trash talking sometimes. It's just the way that, like, if instead of saying, give me 5 or give me 10 in terms of like points that they got, the phrases that they say for the scores that they're getting is just funny. But watching the people who'd never been locked up or had never been exposed to any of that stuff, like experience that for the first time, that was good. Because that's one of those things you never think to tell about. Like when people say, so what's prison like? You never say, well, dominoes is a lot of fun to watch. Like it's so small that you don't even think about it. And watching Rick learn how to play dominoes and then get his head beat in, because Rick is pretty good at basically every game that he plays. And so that was a learning experience too. And yeah, there were little stuff like that. I love that kind of stuff. It was a lot of fun for me. Just getting
That's
to see
actually
that
why
stuff.
I avoid dominoes. I avoid dominoes because the 80% of the trash talking, I'm like, I can't take this. I'm gonna have to just leave. And I'm like, that's it. I quit. You win.
Well, I can't. That's the thing is I can't do it. They do it in a way that's like fun and harmless, and they don't take it personal. I'm not like that. I get real mean real fast, like because I'm good at talking too. By the way, shocker! Spoiler alert: I will trash talk a brick on the wall if they look at me wrong. So yeah, I know that is something I will be watching. I didn't play a game of anything the whole weekend. I tried to get Rick to play me at chess. I tried to get a lot of people to play me at chess, but I did not.
Rick was not having. I was there when you were challenging him, and Rick's like, maybe later. He's like, well, he wins me sometime, and he had all this.
Well, and that's the thing is we talk a lot of trash when we play too. Well, I talk a lot of trash when we play. I should say, but yeah, but dude, it's just that kind of experience. I've never really had that. I mean, I've been around EPP for a long time, and I've never been in an environment where that was happening. And that was so cool. And it's one of those things that I think for a lot of people just kind of goes unnoticed, even though it was a big part of the weekend. But it was just like, that's my highlight of the weekend, stuff like that. And then also people, I brought my son, my 10-year-old boy, Phoenix, was there. And, getting to see people with my kiddo was fun too. And, for those who don't know, my 10-year-old has autism and is not the typical 10-year-old that you experience out there in the wild. And it was fun watching him get to know people, but also other people, like figuring out how to interact with him and do, like we went swimming in the lake and people were like, you're letting your kid like swim. Like, yeah, he can swim. Why wouldn't I? So all that experience for me was just freaking awesome. And, I don't know. So that's, so that answers that question. And so to the people who were there, were there any people, that I'm guessing you knew everybody that was going to be there. It wasn't no surprises or anything like that for you as far as who showed up.
No, I mean, I
have the
had a good
master list.
idea. Yeah, I had a good idea of who was going to be there. There was quite a people on the master list that, well, not quite a bit, but there were a couple that were, on the RSVP list that weren't able to make it. But that's but everyone was there. Yeah, I had an idea of who was there, and even some of the people who were there, like I was, because they weren't on Zoom. Right. That's like, I don't recognize you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which is also weird too. Right. It's like seeing you on a screen 100 times and then I see you in person. I'm like, who the hell is that? I have no idea.
Did you experience any where you had that for them? Like you didn't really know them, but they knew you? Like was
well, yeah. I think everyone kind of knew me.
Yeah.
Well, at least, probably that's just my.
No, everybody knew you.
Like,
that's a trick question. Because of course they know you.
You gotta know me, right? Who are you if you don't know me? But yeah, there is, and it's. I think that also goes to how I am as a human. Like if I haven't shared personal space with you, it's kind of I feel like you're a stranger. And I don't know. I've just always been like that with, throughout my life. Like, unless like, if I haven't met you in person and actually spent time with you, then I think it's just, I don't allow you into that space or that part of me. Right. I just stay kind of arm's length. So, but to be able to do that was, yeah, that's just great. It's amazing to do that and to make more of those connections. So, just a huge thanks for everybody who was able to come. Great appreciation for everybody who wanted to come and wasn't able to make it for whatever reasons, and I really, really hope that next year, if you're able to come, to show up, just show up and just be and see, and just see us ambassadors and everybody else is there, and just just come connect and have a great time. And it's kind of like one of the things I said at the trip is, it's such a great feeling to disconnect, to come connect, right? Because you literally in your everyday life, as we're here at work, school, whatever it is you're doing, we're operating in so much personality and not even realizing it. And you literally have to disconnect from that to come connect into this community. And this is a great place to do it. And I really hope that, if you have the opportunity next year to show on up and come be with us, it'd be great.
This trip was a good one. It was a great idea, and I'm glad that I had the chance to be a part of it. And as mentioned earlier, this was just the first of many more to come, and what I think we can all expect to be an annual EPP camping trip. I hope this was fun to listen to. I know the technical aspects of trying to record people talking out in the wild at a camping trip can be a little tricky sometimes, but I hope that you enjoyed it. It's a little bit of a shift from how some of our episodes have gone previously, and I appreciate being able to share with you just a little peek into what it's like to be a part of the EPP family. So that's all we have for the podcast today. And by the way, now that the big summer months are behind us and we are looking forward to our fall programming and everything else that comes along with that this time of year, please know that the podcast will go back to the monthly schedule that we promised earlier this year, with new episodes coming on the first Tuesday of every month. I promise. I know I've promised before and then it didn't happen. So from me to you, my bad. And the first Tuesday of every month, we'll be here. I'll be here. I hope you're here. That's all I have for now. Thanks for listening. Thanks for being part of the EPP family. And thank you for listening to the Enneagram Prison Project podcast. For more information about EPP, please visit EnneagramPrisonProject.org. We appreciate your time and attention today. Stay tuned for future episodes of the podcast, which you can expect on the first Tuesday of every month as we continue to tell the story of the Enneagram Prison Project.